guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my trip to Tennessee and reviewing Dollywood without lightning rod. The first thing I did in Tennessee was ride an alpine coaster. This was a very enjoyable ride and was better than I was expecting. It pulled some decent forces and was a little rough and a little bumpy, but that's what I could have expected from a coaster on a mountain. Next thing I did is go to the Islanders and ride their Zamperla Nebulous. This was one of the most enjoyable rides I had during my Tennessee trip, and I was never even planning on riding this ride. I randomly saw it while driving by this park and decided I had to ride it because I've always wanted to ride one of these, and there's none near me at any of the parks that I go to often. This is my new favorite flat ride, beating out Delirium at Kings Island. This ride is decently intense. It's great to look at on and off the ride, and has some great near-miss elements that you don't get on many other flat rides. As when you're swinging by, it looks like you might fly into another car before it moves away. Also, this ride has an insanely good lighting package like many other Zamperla flat rides. I saw this after my ride when it was pitch black outside, and it was one of the best looking rides I've ever seen. This is definitely one of the best flat rides I've ever been on, and definitely competes with some roller coasters, such as Fire Chaser Express and many other kids and family coasters. Even though this isn't a roller coaster, I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and definitely was one of the more intense and better flats out there. I love that Zamperla. I wish Kings Island would get one of these in the future. Next, I rode Dropline. This is Dollywood's Drop Tower. I did this for my 75 subscriber special. Next is Mystery Mine. Mystery Mine is one of the better rides at Dollywood, and I'm the one on the right in red. Next is Tennessee Tornado. Tennessee Tornado was my favorite ride at Dollywood. This is an old Aero looping coaster. Well, not that old. It's opened in 1999, and this was the last Aero looping coaster and one of the last Aero coasters in general before they went bankrupt. Tennessee Tornado pulls great forces, has some good elements compared to many other Aero coasters that have cookie cutter elements. This has many different elements that you wouldn't normally see on an Aero coaster. This was one of Aero's only roller coasters to be built by CAD or computer-aided design, making this way smoother and better than most Aeros. And they also, instead of using their old methods of track, they heartlined the track, making this one of the most smooth and less janky Aero coasters out there. Now I'm going to talk about some of the other roller coasters, and my second favorite ride at Dollywood was Wild Eagle. Wild Eagle is a B&M wing coaster, the first of its kind, opened in 2011. This ride is very comparable to the other wing coaster I've ridden, X-Flight at Six Flags Great America, and I think that X-Flight is just slightly better than Wild Eagle, and that's why Wild Eagle just misses out on my top 10, sitting around 11 or 12. This is definitely one of the better rides at Dollywood, but it just wasn't my favorite, and it just wasn't as intense as it could have been. It was a very graceful and smooth ride, just not my favorite type of ride. Next is one of my favorites was the vertical lifts on Mystery Mine. The vertical lifts on Mystery Mine were something I've never experienced before, and for a coaster, this one has some decent theming. And after the second half of the layout is way better than the first, as the first half of the layout is kind of meaningless. That second vertical lift going into the vertical drop with the inversions at the end makes this one of the better rides at Dollywood, just not my favorite. Next, let's talk about their kids coasters. Fire Chaser Express and Blazing Fury were both great rides. Blazing Fury has some decent theming, even though the animatronics and stuff are a little outdated, even though the way it is done is a little outdated. Next, let's talk about Thunderhead. Thunderhead was one of the better rides there, and it wasn't as good as the other GCI I've ridden, Mystic Timbers. The last thing I did on this was without lightning rod. That's the only reason the Tennessee Tornado sits at my number 1 spot at the park, as lightning rod would probably have taken over as my new number 1 coaster. The last ride I rode in Tennessee was a earthquake simulator, and it was better than I thought, but it wasn't as good as any rides that I rid earlier in the trip. Dollywood was amazing, and the whole trip was amazing. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.